Welcome to a heartfelt story of loss, hope, and unexpected love set in sunny Florida. Meet Robert, a 52-year-old widower from Sarasota, whose world dimmed 2 years ago when his wife, Linda, lost her battle with cancer. For 25 years, they built a life filled with beach walks, backyard barbecues, and quiet evenings watching the Gulf's sunsets. Now, their cozy bungalow feels empty, the silence heavy with memories. Robert's days blur, work at his accounting firm, dinners alone, and restless nights staring at Linda's old gardening books. Friends urge him to move on, but grief is a stubborn companion. One humid morning, a coworker mentions a community center needing volunteers for a food drive. Robert, tired of his own loneliness, signs up, hoping to fill the void. At the center, he's greeted by chaos, boxes of canned goods, kids running around, and a warm buzz of purpose. There, he meets Elena, a 46-year-old volunteer with tired eyes and a quick smile. She's sorting donations, her hands swift but gentle. "New here?" she asks, handing him a clipboard. Robert nods, awkward but intrigued. Elena's energy is contagious, a stark contrast to his quiet routine. They chat about Florida's sticky summers and the center's mission to help struggling families. Robert learns Elena's escaping her own storm, a toxic marriage that ended in divorce 6 months ago. As they stack boxes, Robert feels a spark, something he hasn't felt since Linda. But guilt tugs at him. Is it too soon to feel alive again? The sun sets over Sarasota, painting the sky orange. Robert drives home, Elena's laugh echoing in his mind. Can he open his heart after such loss? Or will the past hold him back? The Sarasota Community Center becomes Robert's refuge. Every Saturday, he's there, sorting donations or packing meals, and Elena's always nearby, her warmth cutting through his grief. They fall into an easy rhythm, joking about burnt coffee in the break room or the center's ancient radio blaring Jimmy Buffett. Elena shares snippets of her past, a marriage to a controlling man who left her feeling small. "I'm done shrinking myself," she says, her voice firm. Robert admires her resilience but stays quiet about his own pain. One afternoon, they're tasked with delivering food boxes to a local shelter. The Florida sun beats down as they load Robert's pickup truck. On the drive, Elena points out her favorite taco stand, promising to treat him sometime. Robert smiles, surprised by how natural it feels to laugh again. At the shelter, they meet families grateful for the help, and Robert sees Elena's compassion in action. She listens, really listens, to everyone. Back at the center, she asks about his life before. Hesitant, he mentions Linda, the cancer, the emptiness. Elena nods, no pity, just understanding. "It's okay to miss her," she says softly. That night, Robert finds Linda's old sun hat on the porch. The sight stings, but he doesn't cry as hard as usual. He thinks of Elena's strength, her ability to rebuild after her own loss. Maybe he can, too. The next weekend, the center hosts a cleanup event. Robert and Elena work side by side, clearing debris from a community garden. Their hands brush while pulling weeds, and Robert's heart races, a mix of guilt and hope. He wants to ask Elena for coffee, but fear stops him. Is he betraying Linda's memory? Or is this his chance to live again? As palm trees sway in the breeze, Robert faces a choice. Summer in Sarasota hums with heat and possibility. Robert's Saturdays at the community center are now the highlight of his week. Elena's presence, her quick wit, her ease with everyone, pulls him out of his shell. They've started sharing small moments, grabbing iced tea after shifts, swapping stories about Florida's quirks, like alligators in backyards. But Robert's still haunted by Linda's memory. Her gardening books sit untouched, a reminder of the life they planned. One evening, the center hosts a potluck fundraiser. Robert brings Linda's key lime pie recipe, his first time baking it since her passing. Elena's there with homemade empanadas, a nod to her Cuban roots. The crowd loves Robert's pie, and Elena teases. "You're holding out on us, chef!" Her smile makes his chest ache, not with grief, but something softer. After the event, they clean up together, the center quiet except for the hum of cicadas outside. Elena notices Robert's mood shift. "You okay?" she asks. He admits the pie was Linda's recipe, a piece of her he's scared to let go. Elena shares her own struggle, how her ex-husband's cruelty made her doubt herself. We carry the past, but it doesn't own us, she says. Her words linger. The next day, Robert finds a community center flyer for a grief support group. He hesitates but signs up, driven by Elena's courage. At the meeting, he talks about Linda for the first time, his voice breaking but steady. It feels like a step forward. Back at the center, Elena invites him to a beach cleanup. Bring sunscreen, she jokes. Robert agrees, nervous but hopeful. As they walk along Siesta Key's white sands, picking up litter, their hands touch again. This time, Robert doesn't pull away. Is he ready for this spark? Or will grief hold him back? The Siesta Key beach cleanup is a blur of sun, sand, and Elena's laughter. Robert feels lighter than he has in years, picking up plastic bottles alongside her. She teases him about his floppy hat, a relic from Linda's beach days, but her warmth makes it feel okay. They pause to watch pelicans dive into the Gulf, and Elena shares her dream of opening a small cafe, a place for community and good food. Robert's struck by her hope, so different from his own caution. What's your dream, Robert? She asks. He fumbles, unsure. I used to want a quiet life with Linda, he says. Now, I don't know. Elena nods, no pressure, just presence. Back home, Robert attends another grief group meeting. Sharing stories of Linda, her love for gardening, her terrible puns, feels less like losing her and more like honoring her. He starts gardening again, planting marigolds in their backyard, a nod to Linda's favorite flower. At the community center, he and Elena are paired to organize a kids' art workshop. They spend hours cutting paper and mixing paints, laughing when Robert gets glitter on his face. Elena wipes it off, her touch lingering. Robert's heart races, but guilt creeps in. Is this disloyalty? That night, he dreams of Linda, smiling, as if giving permission. The next weekend, Elena suggests tacos at her favorite stand. Over spicy shrimp tacos, she opens up about her ex's control, how it crushed her confidence. Robert shares his fear of moving on. We're both a little broken, she says, but that's okay. Their eyes meet, and Robert feels a pull. He wants to ask her out, properly, but hesitates. Can he let go of the past? As the sun sets, painting the sky pink, Robert makes a quiet vow to try. What happens next? Fall brings cooler breezes to Sarasota, and Robert's world feels brighter. The community center is abuzz with a new project, a holiday toy drive, and he and Elena are in charge. They spend evenings planning, their texts filled with ideas and silly emojis. Robert's surprised by how much he looks forward to her messages. He's been attending grief group regularly, and it's helping. He's even started writing letters to Linda, not to send, but to process. I'm finding joy again, he writes, and it feels like a gift. At the center, Elena's a whirlwind, rallying volunteers with ease. Robert admires her strength, so different from his quiet steadiness. One night, after sorting toys, they grab coffee at a local diner. Elena talks about her divorce, how she's learning to trust herself again. You make it easier, she says, almost shyly. Robert's heart skips. He wants to say she's done the same for him, but nerves stop him. Instead, he shares a memory of Linda teaching him to dance, clumsy but happy. Elena laughs, suggesting they dance sometime. The idea thrills and terrifies him. Back home, Robert finds an old photo of him and Linda at a beach festival. He smiles, not with pain, but gratitude. The next day, he takes a leap. He asks Elena to dinner, not as friends, but a date. She says yes, her smile radiant. They choose a quiet seafood spot by the Gulf, where fairy lights twinkle. Over crab cakes, they talk about dreams, fears, and second chances. Robert feels alive, but guilt lingers. Is he moving too fast? As they walk along the shore after dinner, Elena's hand brushes his. He doesn't pull away, but his heart races with questions. Can he love again without losing Linda's memory? The waves whisper answers he's not ready to hear. The seafood restaurant glows with warmth, and Robert's nervous but happy. Elena looks radiant in a simple dress, her laughter easing his jitters. They share stories over shrimp scampi, her childhood in Miami, his college days in Gainesville. The conversation flows, but when Elena mentions wanting to travel, Robert freezes. He and Linda dreamed of Italy, a trip they never took. The memory stings, but Elena's gentle. "You okay?" pulls him back. He admits the truth, and she listens, her hand resting near his. "It's okay to carry her with you," she says. Robert nods, grateful for her understanding. As they leave, they walk along Sarasota's shore, the Gulf shimmering under moonlight. Elena slips off her shoes, letting waves lap her feet. Robert joins her, the cool water grounding him. Their hands touch, and this time, he holds hers. It's small, but it feels huge. Back at the community center, their bond grows. They plan a Thanksgiving meal for families in need, working late to decorate tables with paper turkeys. Elena teases Robert about his terrible origami skills, and he retaliates by flicking flour at her. Their laughter fills the room, but a volunteer's comment, "You two look like a couple," makes Robert tense. Is he ready for that label? That night, he writes to Linda, "I think you'd like Elena. She's kind, like you." The words ease his guilt. But at the Thanksgiving event, Elena's ex-husband appears, dropping off donations. His presence unsettles her, and Robert notices her forced smile. "Old ghosts," she mutters. Robert wants to protect her, but his own ghosts linger. Can they build something new with the past so close? As families gather, grateful for the meal, Robert and Elena share a quiet moment. What will it mean for their future? Thanksgiving at the community center is a success, with families laughing over turkey and pie. Robert and Elena work side by side, serving plates and refilling drinks. But Elena's ex-husband's brief appearance lingers like a shadow. Robert notices her quiet moments, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. After the event, they sit on a bench outside, the Florida night warm and starry. Elena opens up. Her ex, Mark, was manipulative, draining her confidence for years. "Seeing him today reminded me how far I've come," she says. Robert shares his own struggle, how Linda's death left him stuck, afraid to feel again. "You make me want to try," he admits. Elena's hand finds his, and they sit in silence, connected. The next week, Robert attends grief group, where he talks about Elena. "She's not replacing Linda," he says, "but she's helping me live again." The group cheers his progress. At the center, he and Elena plan a Christmas toy drive, their teamwork seamless. They start spending more time together outside volunteering, morning walks on the beach, coffee at Elena's favorite cafe. Robert feels a warmth he thought was gone forever. But doubt creeps in. Is he ready for love? One evening, Elena invites him to her small apartment for dinner. She cooks arroz con pollo, filling the air with spices. They dance to old salsa music, Robert stumbling but laughing. It's the happiest he's been since Linda. But when Elena leans in, close enough to kiss, Robert pulls back. "I'm sorry," he says. "I need time." Elena nods, hurt but understanding. "I'll wait," she says softly. Driving home, Robert grips the wheel, torn between fear and longing. Can he let go of the past to embrace this new joy? As Christmas lights glow, he faces a choice. Christmas approaches, and Sarasota sparkles with lights and festive cheer. Robert's torn after pulling back from Elena's almost kiss. He feels the pull of her warmth but fears betraying Linda's memory. At the grief group, he shares his confusion. "I'm happy with her, but it feels wrong," he admits. A group member, a widow, says, "Love doesn't erase love. It grows beside it." Her words stick with him. At the community center, the toy drive is in full swing. Robert and Elena wrap gifts for kids, their usual ease strained but kind. Elena doesn't push, giving him space, but her glances say she hopes. One afternoon, Robert finds a box of Linda's old Christmas ornaments in his attic. He hesitates, then hangs one, a tiny star, on his tree, a small step toward peace. He texts Elena, apologizing for his hesitation, and asks her to a holiday market. She agrees, and they wander through stalls of crafts and hot cocoa, the air filled with carols. Elena buys a small painting of a sunset, saying it reminds her of their beach walks. Robert's heart swells. He wants this joy, but fear lingers. That night, he writes to Linda, "I think you'd want me to be happy." The next day, a surprise shakes him. Elena's ex, Mark, shows up at the center, claiming he wants to reconcile. Elena's firm, telling him she's moved on, but Robert sees her hands tremble. After Mark leaves, Robert finds her in the break room, shaken. "You okay?" he asks. She admits Mark's words rattled her confidence. Robert takes her hand, his voice steady. "You're stronger than he'll ever know." Their eyes lock, and this time, Robert doesn't pull away. Is this the moment they cross the line from friendship to something more? As snowbirds flock to Florida. The holiday market left Robert hopeful, but Elena's ex's reappearance stirs unease. He sees how Mark's words shook her, and it ignites a protective instinct. At the community center, they're busier than ever, delivering toys to families. Elena's back to her vibrant self, but Robert notices her checking her phone, as if expecting trouble. He wants to support her, like she's done for him. One evening, he invites her to his bungalow for coffee. It's a big step. Linda's presence still lingers in the marigolds outside, the photos on the walls. Elena notices a picture of Linda and smiles. "She looks kind," she says. Robert nods, sharing a story about Linda's love for baking. Elena listens, then talks about her own healing, how volunteering saved her. "You're part of that, Robert," she says. His heart races. He wants to kiss her, but instead, he says, "You've changed my life, too." The moment feels sacred. At Grief Group, Robert shares his progress. "I'm not replacing Linda," he says, "but I'm ready to love again." The group applauds, and he feels unburdened. Back at the center, Elena suggests a New Year's Eve beach picnic, just them. Robert agrees, nervous but excited. They spread a blanket on Siesta Key, the Gulf calm under stars. Elena opens up about her fears of trusting again after Mark. Robert shares his own, how he worried Joy was disloyalty. "But you make it feel right," he says. Their hands intertwine, and this time, Robert leans in. Their kiss is soft, tentative, but full of promise. Fireworks burst above, mirroring the spark in their hearts. But as they pack up, Elena gets a text from Mark, threatening to cause trouble. Her face pales. Can their new love withstand old wounds? New Year's Eve on Siesta Key leaves Robert and Elena changed. Their kiss under the fireworks felt like a beginning, but Mark's threatening text casts a shadow. Back at Elena's apartment, she shows Robert the message. "You'll regret leaving me." Robert's anger flares, but Elena's calm. "He's all talk," she says, but her voice wavers. Robert stays, offering support, and they talk until dawn about their fears and hopes. Elena decides to block Mark, choosing her peace. Robert admires her strength, mirroring his own journey. He spends the next days planting more marigolds, a tribute to Linda but also a symbol of growth. At the community center, they're a team, planning a spring festival. Volunteers notice their closeness, and Robert doesn't shy away. He's ready to call Elena his partner. One sunny afternoon, they return to the beach, this time with a picnic of Elena's empanadas and Robert's lemonade. They laugh, share dreams, her cafe, his idea to travel, and plan a trip to Key West. Robert pulls out Linda's star ornament, now a keychain. "She's part of me, but you're my future," he says. Elena's eyes shine, and they kiss, the gulf their witness. Mark's threats fade. Elena files a restraining order, reclaiming her power. Robert sells his bungalow, moving to a condo closer to the center, a fresh start. He and Elena host the festival, dancing to live music as kids play nearby. Their love, born from shared grief, feels like a gift. As spring blooms, Robert knows Linda would smile. He's found joy again, not instead of her, but because of her. Thank you for joining Robert and Elena's journey. If their story of love after loss touched you, share it, and subscribe for more tales of second chances and hearts that heel in Florida's sun,